r/ask Reddit. What is the sickest burn you have seen a teacher give to a student? You seem to be a bit of an intellectual snob. Your academic performance makes me wonder why. Whole class gasped. I like to imagine this blew his trench coat and fedora right off. What this teacher says will tear your fedora a new one. I had a CS professor who looked at everyone's GPAs and made talk to each individually in the hallway after our first exam. She graded them right there on the spot. The first thing she told one student was, I looked at your academic records and noticed you seem to be devoted to being consistently below average in all your classes. Student's name. You're my second favorite student of all time. Everyone else is tied for first. In a sea of rude and offensive comments in this topic, this one was actually very clever and funny. It's actually a very old joke. Variations include, we took a vote and voted you second best looking. Everybody else tied for first. Student constantly skips class. Teacher, where's Justin? Student, I can call him if you want. Teacher, do it. Calls Justin. Teacher, hey, Justin, where are you when you should be in my class? Justin, you can tell he's a little freaked out. Up McDonald's. Teacher, pick up an application. Click. I hope he doesn't burn the fries too. Should have gone to Mickledge. Student, I forget why. I'm going to be one of the people running the world. By then, I'm the future. Teacher, that's like reminding me that I'm going to die. Only more depressing. Double quote. With no regard for human life. That kid had a family. Teacher, doing attendance. Johnny, there you are. Sarah, oh hi Sarah, I didn't recognize you without your glasses. Pretty girl who usually wears glasses. And, to Ben, the class clown. Ben, where's Ben? He's in his usual spot. Oh Ben, there you are, I didn't recognize you with your mouth shut. Sickest burn ever. The timing was beautiful, everyone exploded. Damn. Kid wasn't even doing anything and the teacher was throwing shots. At least they were metaphorical ones. This was about 2006. Student, the song American Idiot was written about you. Teacher, Boulevard of Broken Dreams was written about your future. This is the one that made me laugh. Sounds like one of my old teachers. Substitute was a cool 20-something-year-old guy. He was giving a lecture on math and stuff when his voice cracks. For a few seconds no one notices it. Then some kid imitates the squeak and gets a couple giggles. Then the teacher turns around and says, listen kid, the reason my voice is cracking is cause I've been talking all day. The reason your voice cracked is cause your balls never dropped. Entire class lost it. I'm going to spend the rest of my life assuming this really happened. Student, can we postpone the math test? It's on my birthday. Teacher, well unlike your birthday this math test was planned ahead of time. Student, trying to be intimidating. Don't get me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. Teacher, nobody likes you anyway. He tried to act tough using a comic book line. I was intimidated just from reading it. After a particularly bad group project presentation that basically just failed to touch on anything relevant to the core subject, his review was, I asked you for a painting. You gave me a frame. I would find this pretty helpful criticism. That's a great metaphor. So I had a friend in HS who wore khaki pants and a collared shirt to school pretty much every day. One day he was leaning over some kid's desk helping him with something, and his ass sticking way out, just tempting someone to run over and smack it. And another friend, James, does just that. He runs over and lands a perfect, incredibly loud slap square on the butt cheeks on him that made him bolt to standing up immediately. Fortunately for everyone else in the class except for James, it wasn't my friend but the teacher, who also wore khakis and collared shirts to school every day. Everyone goes silent, and the teacher turns around, bright red, but with a big smile on his face, and says, James, save that for after class. Everyone bursts out laughing and the kid, of course, never lived it down. That was the dress code at my high school. I was only allowed 3 colors of polo shirt with khakis or black pants. My dad was a high school teacher about 30 or 40 years ago. He was pretty young, so his students felt pretty comfortable around him, and felt comfortable messing with him. There was this one student who decided to put a tack on my dad's chair before he came in one morning. My dad noticed it before he sat down and decided to keep standing. A few minutes into class, that kid hot called to the office. My dad took the tack and put it on the kid's chair. When the kid returned, the other students were able to hide their snickering pretty well. He sits down and immediately jumps about 6 feet in the air. The class bursted out laughing. My dad always wins. I feel like now this would get someone's teaching license taken away. If my dad was a teacher now, well, he wouldn't be a teacher, haha. Another time a kid showed my dad his knife and my dad asked if he could see it. He pointed it at the kid and said, "If you ever bring a knife to this school again," and basically threatened the kid with his own knife. I had a teacher that would write ouch next to all my wrong answers on a test. He showed Staples Burger King application forms to kids who failed. I had a high school science teacher that stapled a McDonald's application to failed tests. Savage. We were taking a quick 20-question multiple choice quiz a few years back in a bio class, and the teacher suspected one of the stonier kids in the back had been cheating because he kept messing with his shorts. "I hope you aren't sliding that pant leg up to check the answers you have written down." The student piped back, "Yeah, of course I have them all written on my dong." And without missing a beat, the teacher fired back, "Alright, well, where did you write the other 18 answers?" Student: "Can I go to the bathroom?" Teacher: "I don't know. Can you?" Student: "Well, you could always help me out." Teacher: "This isn't a science class. I don't have any tweezers." Double quote: "To the burn ward with you." Strong counter for a weak one. Nice. Context: student has turned in a lousy paper. Student: "Come on. I bet you did papers the night before when you were in college." Prof: "Yep, but I'm smarter than you." I've said basically the same thing to my students. You can write a paper the night before if you've done all the research and other work. Basically, if you've become smart enough. So we are in pay and our teacher is new to the school but taught in juvie for a while and had several tattoos. So she played around with us but in the end took no crap. We're sitting in the bleachers one day and she leans back and undoes her hair. She always kept it in a bun or something. One of the students, among the more rowdy of us, she tolerated him. Barely, then shouts down at her, "Hamies, name here. You look better with your hair down." She stops, looks at him and goes, "Yeah, well, you look better with my eyes closed." The bleachers erupted. I remember now one time in pay in high school. The pay teacher was kind of a hard-nosed jerk-off, but not so bad we couldn't put up with it. Usually pretty straight-laced too. One day he decided, for whatever reason, that he would allow the girls to skip the day's activity if they wanted. Now, you girls can play too if you want, or you can just sit up on the stage. Every girl went directly to the stage. The pay teacher turned back to the boys remaining and said, "Fastest I've seen them move all year." Our math teacher placed a book on the marker tray of the whiteboard with an arrow on the board connecting the book to the sentence. Marker's biography. The book was called The Ugliest Boy. Marker was a student and was also the teacher's son. On my end of year report card that I had to take home to my parents, one of my teachers wrote, "I shall miss Goodly Lawful's cheerful presence in my class, as well as his ever more creative excuses for the non-production of work." I came back the next year after I got an A on the national exam for his class, and caught him telling a group of prospective students, "If Goodly Lawful can ace this course, anyone can." Ouch, that second one is cruel. This was in junior high, which I think was 8th grade. We had a math teacher who was a bit rotund and rosy-cheeked and upon reflection a bit effeminate. As we all know, girls of that age can get a bit tightly wound and dramatic. So every time there was a confrontation like that in class, he would sing the teapot song at them with dance move and everything. For those who do not know, I'm a little teapot, short and stout. This is my handle, this is my spout. When I get all steamed up, hear me shout, "Tip me over and pour me out." Probably the most effective 14-year-old girl diffuser I have ever seen. That was adorable. I was a teacher for a few years some time ago. During my first year of teaching was when Eminem was getting really popular. I had this one student who was very into Eminem, to the point of replicating haircut, hair color, style of dress, etc. This student was also frequently disruptive. One morning, as I was trying to start class, He was standing next to his desk, chatting with another student and totally oblivious to the fact that class was starting. So I'll look right at him, get his attention, and say, "Are you the real Slim Shady? Up number." Then sit down. Small victories. "Are you the real Slim Shady?" "Yes." "Then I just sit down please." 9th grade biology. We are learning about how when a sperm meets an egg, it creates a cell called a zygote. This girl raises her hand to ask, "So do I have a zygote in me right now?" He responds, "I don't know what goes on in your personal life, Kelly." Why in the world would she ask that? A friend and I were visiting my English teacher after class and my friend was showing her a picture of her shoes and making sure they were appropriate for graduation. "Teacher, those are fine. I just meant don't wear any hooker shoes." Me. Or, "I bought the cutest hooker shoes and now I can't wear them." Teacher, "No, you'll have to save that for your job." Set my dumbass up on that one. The PE teacher walked into the boys' locker room when my friend was giving another one gum and asked what drugs are handing there. Friend, "They're steroids. You want some? You look like you need them." Teacher, "No thanks. They don't seem to be working." A kid was complaining about the sun shining in through the window into their eyes and the teacher replies with, "Oh, just enjoy it. After all, your future doesn't look as bright so might as well soak it in." This one's just mean. Doesn't even feel like a burn. Almost like bullying, even if meant in jest. I'd agree, but this kid was a complete a-hole. Skipped class a lot. Anytime he was actually there he was high. He insulted the teacher on multiple occasions and so on. He was kind of asking for it in my opinion. In history class, we're in the middle of an understandably somber section about the Holocaust and concentration camp conditions and one student decides it'd be the perfect time to fire off a Jewish joke. The teacher just turned around slowly and said, "That's impressive." Student, "What's impressive, Mr. S?" "Well, here I am talking about Mengele and Hitler, not to mention all of the other Nazis, and yet you somehow still managed to be the least likable person in today's class." This smartass HS senior in my freshman algebra class v Mr. S. "Hey, Mr. S, you've been teaching forever. Getting pretty old aren't you? Hahaha. When you gonna give it up?" Mr. S, straight-faced like a boss. "Oh, IDK Adam. I figure about the time you pass this class." The guy's face was as red as a Santa suit. Greatest first day of school ever. I had a teacher in high school who would staple McDonald's applications to failed tests. This is the same teacher that when they had a kid fall asleep in class last period of the day got the entire class to quietly grab their things and go into the hallway, grabbed his own stuff and went out, then loudly came back in the room and turned the lights on. When the kid woke up the teacher looked at him and went, "OHH, you're still here. Better hurry, school starts in 20 minutes. The look on his face as he sprinted out of the room was priceless. "What's sex ed?" said sarcastically by a 15-year-old in my class. Science teacher, "OHH, it's fine, you won't need it for another 20-30 years. The class was laughing the rest of the lesson. This was in my maths class in year 7. First year of secondary school. Student, "Why do we have to learn this? Algebra." Teacher, "It'll be useful in many professions in the future." Student, "But the only job I can think of that'd need this is maths teacher. And I don't want to end up like you." Teacher, grinning, "Why not? It's better than anything you'll do." My high school math teacher had 3 adopted children. He was also the econ teacher. Bad move. But oh well. And one day he was talking about loan repayment, etc. He used the example of the loans that he'd gotten to pay the adoption costs for his kids, and quoted some ridiculously high number. I am also adopted, and the number he gave was way higher than what my parents told me it costed to adopt my brother and me. I raised my hand and said this, and he goes, "Well, yeah, you were probably on sale." I laughed so hard I cried. He must have thought I was offended, because he felt really bad about it and apologized later. He was actually crying when he apologized, but I told him it was probably the funniest thing anyone had ever said about me being adopted. Engineering architectural CAD class in high school. We were allowed to listen to our iPods while working on assignments. but we were supposed to put them away whenever there was a lecture or instructions being given. Our teacher, we'll call him N, had speakers that he listened to his music with, so he could still be attentive to the class. One student, we'll call him K, perpetually kept his headphones in, even during lectures and instructions, and thus missed a lot of information and continued to ask questions that were explained just 15 minutes beforehand. One day, Mr. N was giving his instructions for the day, and noticed that K was blasting some rap through his headphones and screwing around on his computer. He stops everything, and has us all just wait until K realizes that we're all waiting on him. Once he noticed, he took his headphones out, and Mr. N asked why he constantly keeps his headphones in. K replies, "I can't stand the country music you listen to. It's all just about stupid shit like trucks, girls, and beer." Mr. N, being the professional he is, ignored the comment, finished the lecture, and sent us back to work, with the note that no one was allowed to listen to their iPods for the rest of the class. He then proceeds to go back to his computer, and cranks the music he's listening to. Every time the song mentions trucks, girls, or beer, he screams over the music at K saying something like, "Yeah, they're talking about their trucks and how muddy they are because of those back dirt roads." We were all giggling at the faces K was making and how hard he was trying to tune everything out. Maybe kinda immature, but it was hilarious nonetheless. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.